So I DNF'd 3 books in a row this month, the first being The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, the second one being Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, and the third one being The House That Horror Built by Christina Henry. I don't have that one to hand because I got that one from the library, so that one was returned safely. Don't worry about that. Now, all 3 of those books were highly recommended to me, and all 3 of them I really struggled to enjoy. And this is not just because I'm a horror aficionado, because in all honesty, I will read anything. I think it's because the books just didn't have the right mouthfeel, you know what I mean? So first up is The Fourth Wing, and this is the only book out of the 3 that I was not surprised that I did not enjoy. So I went into it knowing that it was going to be a certain level of trash. I just had no idea it was going to be that bad. And that's not to say that books that are trash cannot be enjoyed, because they can. I have read the entire Twilight series, so I really thought that The Fourth Wing was going to be along a similar vein. But I got about 100 pages in and I was bored out of my brains. And I know that the people who absolutely adore The Fourth Wing are going to have a go at me about this, but I just really didn't enjoy it. So I made it about 100 pages in and all it was exposition. 100 pages of exposition! This is a book about dragon fucking. This shouldn't be world building 101. Like, I suppose I've been spoiled by the likes of Brandon Sanderson and Adrian Tchaikovsky, who are perhaps some of the greatest world builders in modern literature, but I just found the expedition dumps in Fourth Wing just so tedious. So I gave up on that one, and then I started Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, and this was the surprise. The fact that I didn't like this was such a surprise. Now, putting aside the fact that R.F. Kuang wrote The Poppy War at age 18, not that I'm bitter or anything, but once again, similar to The Fourth Wing, I found Yellowface just absolutely tedious. Now, maybe it's because it's discussing the industry that I work in, but for someone who wrote something exceptional as the Poppy War trilogy and Babel, Yellowface just felt so generic, like the entire plot is and then this happens, and then this happens. Like I was actively having to force myself to read the book just because it was so highly recommended, and that is not a good sign. And like I was conflicted about DNF in that book because it came so highly rated. But I finally did it, I DNF'd it, and I got one of my TikTok friends to spoil the ending for me, and do you know what? The ending sucks. My God. Like, even with the tedious way that she presents the events, it could have built and built and culminated in this ending which felt true to the story. But instead it kind of feels like a damp squib. Very much just like, and that's it. And for a book by R.F. Kuang, I expected better. And the final book that I DNF'd was The House That Horror Built. And when you have the word horror in the title, you kind of go into it expecting certain things. Unfortunately, my expectations were not met, and I didn't go into it with high expectations. I managed to get almost exactly halfway through the book, and nothing had happened by that point. Now, this book is only about 300 pages long. It's not a long book. And yet still, by page 150, there had only really been 2 instances of something scary. And in all honesty, those scary elements were not scary at all. And the way that the character responded to them just didn't feel authentic. Now, similarly to Yellowface, I looked at the ending, and again, I was disappointed by what I found. Whilst the ending itself sounded cool and admittedly quite horrific, the foundation for the third act twist just wasn't there, at least not within the first half of the book. Like, I'm all for a slow burn that has an explosive ending, but the foundation has to be there. If you're going to have a big twist at the end, then it needs to be the foundations, and it needs to be littered throughout the entire of the book, not just towards the ending, because then it feels like an afterthought. It's more of a pointless jump scare than a slow building of tension that you expect from a horror book. And I felt that was such a shame, because by that point I had DNF'd 2 other books. But ultimately I felt that it wasn't worth my time, so I DNF'd the 3rd book. And after those 3 travesties, I have since started The Artist by Inigo Morse, and I am loving it so far. I'm only about halfway through, but I'm absolutely enjoying my time with it, so thankfully it seems that I'm no longer cursed by books that I need to DNF. There is a saw hanging in the middle of the wood. That is terrifying. That is just a saw hanging in the middle of the wood. I'm going to leave this bit.